Hey you. Yeah, that's right, I'm talking to you. We're announcing a new video challenge with a cash prize and we want you to give it a shot. Using any camera you have at home, even a cell phone, we want you to try filming a simple, short battle report of a historical war game. No fancy equipment is needed, not even a microphone. All you really need is a cell phone and some free video editing software like Windows Movie Maker or iMovie. We're calling this challenge the Quick Strike AAR, and there are only 3 rules for you to follow. Number 1, the video must be under 10 minutes long. Number 2, it must include some history and some explanation of the scenario and objectives. And finally, number 3, you must recap the entire battle from start to finish. And no cheating, no part 1 and then part 2 or anything. Nope, the entire battle with history and scenario, the story told in less than 10 minutes. To accomplish all of that in such a quick time, you'll be forced to summarize the highlights of your game using your best footage. Basically, you need to tell the viewer a story. Because ultimately, that's what our best games really are. They tell a story with a beginning, a middle, and an end. So let's hear about the critical decisions your players faced, the strategies they employed, the terrible dice rolls they endured, or their heroic moments of glory. Did your players rewrite history?
Come on, Steve. That sounds really hard. Filming, editing, especially if you don't have any experience.
You're a bright fellow, Miles. I certainly think you're at least bright enough that you could be taught how to do it. So why don't we throw it to an acknowledged video editing expert to talk about how he makes a Quick Strike AAR.
Greetings, I'm Greg, editor of many wargaming videos. You may know me from such masterpieces as Marengo, Gettysburg, or D-Day. So I understand that you are interested in filming a Quick Strike video report. Well, I'd like to give you 3 tips on how to get started. Number 1, have a plan before you film anything. Think about the anatomy of how your video will be assembled with distinct parts. First, you'll want to probably spend about a minute offering viewers some historical context or background. You want to keep this quick and try to throw in a couple historical images or maps in order to set the scene. Second, you're going to want to consider spending 1 to 2 minutes explaining the scenario setup. What do the opposing armies look like, and what are their objectives? Who are the players? Be sure to show their faces on screen and not just their hands. Viewers like to see and connect with people. Finally, the main part of your video will be 5 to 7 minutes of edited gameplay. You have total creative freedom with how to tell your story. And that brings me to tip number 2, film sparingly. Do yourself a huge favor and do not film your entire 3 or 4 hour war game. You're gonna end up with way too much footage to edit and review later. There's actually a much faster shortcut. I recommend that for every 15 to 20 minutes of actual game time that you play, you only film about 1 minute of that. So that means over the course of a 3-hour war game, you may only have about 10 minutes of video clips. Tip number 3 is my best piece of advice for how to make use of those video clips, and that would be voiceover. Once you upload the footage and review the clips that you have and start to string them together, sit down and write a short script for yourself to narrate the course of that battle. That helps to keep the story clear and compelling. Once you have your script written, all you need to do is get out your cell phone and read it right into the microphone. It's free. You can use Voice Memo or another app on your phone.
I thought you said we were getting expert advice, not amateur advice.
Oh, so you wanted a real expert. Okay, well, let's see if we can get one of those.
Hey, one of the best pieces of advice that I ever got on how to make better photos or video came from Robert Capa, one of the world's most famous war photographers. He said, if your photos aren't good enough, you're not close enough. And he put his money where his mouth is because you might know this famous photo. That's Omaha Beach. He took it because he landed on D-Day. He wanted to get right in there and document it with close photos. So, when you're doing your game, you should think about being Robert Capa and making close photos, right? Most gamers, when I see, or many gamers, they have their camera, their iPhone, they kind of stand where you might stand when you're at a game, and they just kind of shoot the table, right? And that's okay, but it doesn't really get down to the nitty-gritty, because think about it, we're all making, with these miniatures, little moving dioramas, right? And what we need is our little version of Robert Capa to get down in there, right? So put your camera right on the table, just like this, and move around and show what's happening. Highlight the dramatic event. So here you have a stalwart sergeant, right, with his corporal behind them and a lieutenant in the background urging them on. Maybe they're in Normandy. That's what we want to see. If a character does something great, fill the frame with the character, or a tank blows up, right? Make sure you see it. Get right down on it. Make close photos. Make Robert Capa be your war photographer for your war game.
Not only is our how-to video with Mark free, at next year's Caesar Awards, we're adding a category for the best Quick Strike AAR video, and the winner will receive a $250 cash prize. Ka-ching! That winner could be you. Yeah, you specifically. You're our favorite viewer here.
We hope this challenge inspires you to film your games at home, because nothing attracts people to this hobby better than well-filmed games presented online.
And not only is this type of thing great for the hobby, it's also a lot of fun. And it's something that you can do with your fellow club members to really kind of memorialize some of your best games and have things to look back on years from now. So now you know the stakes, you know our 3 rules, and we've given you some pro tips. Now the last little bit of information you need to know is when you need to have these videos to us. The deadline is December 31st, 2021. So you have between now and the end of the year to put your Quick Strike video on YouTube, or if you don't have a channel, just send it to Little Wars TV directly. We want to see your game.
And if you want to see an example of a Quick Strike video, we're going to be releasing one, our first one, in the next few weeks.
Yeah, and it's a great little game that you and I actually played and was filmed completely on an iPhone, and only an iPhone. No microphones, no tripods, no special lighting. Now we want you to do the same. Are you ready? Ready for the Quick Strike challenge?